We've been in our existing space for a long time, since 1993.
We just signed a lease at the other facility and had made it our home.
We did not control how we used energy, how employees were able to control their environment, because we were a tenant in a multi-tenant building.
Buildings like this are all over San Diego. And from our standpoint, and from the developer standpoint, it's difficult to know what to do with a building like this.
In our old office, which at the time when we resided in that office, it seemed to be an incredible place to work. We had lots of great feedback from the exterior, and never really realized how differently we could live our lives.
DPR's Green Building Program really started as a grassroots effort.
It's one thing to save a tree, to be cliche about it, but it's entirely another thing to create, in addition to that, an environment that people crave, that they want to be a part of.
It was difficult to sell green building when we didn't have any proof. We didn't have locally good examples to refer to as true sustainable buildings. And we talked a lot internally about how great it would be if we could actually have a living lab, a place to bring clients to see what it was like to really be in a sustainable space.
We really had a lot to work with and try to maximize thermal comfort and really get to enjoy the environment that we have, and I think the best climate in the world here in San Diego.
Another goal was net zero energy. We were able to reduce our energy consumption enough that our renewable energy system, our photovoltaic system on our roof, actually creates enough during the year to offset what we use.
So one of the main goals when this building was purchased was to turn a building into a high-performance building.
We bought a 30-year-old tilt-up building. It had constraints. We didn't want to level the building and start over. We wanted to use what the building already had in a meaningful and thoughtful way. That's part of the story as we take it to the market.
Part of our strategy in doing so was to create a hybrid mechanical system to maximize the potential of natural ventilation based on our prevailing breezes and the configuration of the building. We elected to add a solar chimney type of structure through our clear stories and adding operable windows to the exterior of the building. In San Diego, water is a tremendous factor within the built environment. We've reduced our exterior, our irrigation water consumption by almost 2/3, and on the interior we've reduced our water consumption by over 50%.
Everything we looked at for this building had to meet a stringent test of under a 10-year payback period.
We did a cost study based on what would be the most efficient HVAC system, what would be the most efficient for natural ventilation. We had some very high efficient systems, and then we had our standard heat pump systems that we would use on any number of projects. And the numbers came back and showed that our standard 16 SEER heat pumps was actually going to be the most efficient system. They made the most sense and got us our biggest payback within 10 years.
With an old concrete tilt-up, most likely at the end of its useful lifespan, we were very limited in terms of how many holes we could punch in the building, where we could put doors, where we could put windows, how much of the roof we could take off, and how much of it we could open up.
We found some interesting things when we came into the building that we weren't aware of, some added costs, some subtracted costs.
My objective was taking a 1978 building and making it a green building. We took a building that had low ceilings, no air flow. We've opened it up by basically taking everything out down to the slab.
It was all built out with a bunch of tenant improvements. So we had to get in there and kind of look around and figure out what we wanted to do.
We were able to open up the roof in 4 locations for some big roof monitors to let in some natural ventilation and some light.
We cleaned the roof up so we have a bare timber ceiling. We put a foam roof up on top to make our insulation. We took everything that needed to be completely redone out and we rebuilt.
We had to redo the structure on the entire front curtain wall. So that was a challenge, and then making that curtain wall system so we had operable windows.
So we wanted to use really the environment, the air temperature, the natural light that was coming in to sense when the building needed to open up or when it needed to close down. And so once we figured that out and were able to get the controls and the building system operations working in sync with each other, it all worked out.
Part of the strategy is to implement a building dashboard that shows based on our lighting loads, our HVAC loads, our plug loads, everything that is going on within the building, to show the employees and give them real-time feedback on what we're actually consuming.
So we really identified the things that worked for us as a company, that worked for the building, that worked for San Diego. I think that's important as we go forward.
So it was the first shot at really blending those two parallel universes. You know, the culture that we live out and support in the space we live in, and then the value we have to the environment. And so it was a terrific opportunity in that regard.
One of the biggest parts of DPR culture is the aspect of having open office environment.
We were compartmentalized in our old space, so being able to gather together as one big family was pretty exciting to us. It was also a daunting task.
A cool ingredient that Callison added into this office was being able to be on one side of the office and clearly seeing the other person on the other side.
We've got an innovation room, which we've never had, which is an opportunity. It's a room with no tables. It's chairs. It has its own sound system. Has a room loaded with whiteboards so that you can just create and discuss and solve the world's problems.
Behind me is the wine bar, where it brings everyone together. It's kind of the universe of how everyone operates and gathers in after, you know, a day's worth of work.
We've got a patio, which we never had, in a couple of nice little ways from, there was a local restaurant here in town that invested a lot in its interiors, went out of business. So raced downtown, checked these things out, and now they're on our patio. They're funky looking, but they're completely suitable to who we are.
The Delta Room is kind of a symbol of our culture of always having the plus deltas and be able to learn from our mistakes. And it was a great way to encompass a lot of our old history from our old office and moving it from one space over, but giving it a new transformed look. Callison added a great recyclable, renewable look, and it's these recycled pallet wood slats that encompass all around the conference rooms and tie in through the promenade wall, as well as in the front entry lobby reception desk.
So we really did create a space that supports camaraderie and the building of camaraderie, the building of relationships. I think we found a nice blend of informal context to a real serious business.
When we were trying to finish the job at the end, you could see that there was a lot going on, there was a lot that was having to come together. But one of the things I'm most proud of is that they finished the job injury-free. So that's something that will always be near and dear in my heart, that we can always look at this office with confidence that sustainability and safety walked hand in hand and we crossed the finish line.
It's a great space. People seem to love it. Having the windows just open up when it's a nice day outside, and having the solo tubes bring in all the natural light, and having the overhead lights just turn off when you don't need them anymore is a pretty unique thing.
I have felt that my quality of work as well as my quality of life has increased since we've moved into the new space, and really didn't have that perspective until we moved into this new space.
We've been talking about a lot of these things for a long time, and now we actually have proof that they work, that they're cost effective. We have returns. We have true costs and true returns to share.
People are going to look back at this space as the one that broke it open.
The space is honest. We didn't do things that were outlandish. We did things that made sense for us.
Both environmentally, in terms of opening up the doors and the windows, and culturally in terms of tearing down the walls.